And also new tonight, Governor Snyder is seeking an economic disaster declaration from the U.S. Small Business Administration for Flint and Genesee counties. If approved, loans would be made available for small businesses and organizations impacted by the contaminated public water supply. And a new disclosure, internal emails obtained by liberal group Progress Michigan shows one the governor aides was aware of a surge in Legionnaire's disease potentially linked to Flint's water months before the governor reported the increase to the public. The governor disclosed the spike in January and said he had only learned about it days earlier, which a spokesperson reiterated today. And also tonight, members of Congress invited the governor to speak in front of Democratic steering and policy committees. We have a link to that invitation on woodtv.com. At the same time, there's a new fight on Capitol Hill over aid for Flint, and the EPA released an update on their investigation. 24 Hour News 8's Sarah Hurwitz is in studio control with this story. Sarah?
Well, Marley, those new findings from the EPA offered some sense of clarity for those using filters in Flint. And on Capitol Hill, talk was centered around how funding can help families still footing the bill for the contaminated water.
Even with a filter, is the water safe to drink? That concern brought up last week when officials warned that water samples from more than 24 locations had higher lead levels than could be treated by filters.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming.
And now we have an idea. In a press conference Thursday, the EPA announced preliminary findings of its sampling.
Of the 10 results we have so far, 8 of those results were done by a specific method, which I'm going to describe here in a moment. And in all 8 of those situations, we have very good news.
Over the last week, the EPA collected 3 samples, one from the existing filter, a raw unfiltered sample, and one from a third cartridge placed in the existing filter.
Luckily, all the results from both filters came back non-detect to extremely low.
Tapping into an area of concern with encouraging numbers. But what about the people still paying for the water they can't use?
Well, I think we all agree that people shouldn't be paying for the water that they couldn't use and was unsafe. And so the bill passed the Senate unanimously today.
The state Senate today voting to approve $30 million to help pay for those bills. But Senator Dave Hildenbrand isn't sure it should come from the general fund.
The general fund, we have limited resources in the general fund, and it's used for a lot of great things in the state. And anytime we put more pressure on that, it makes the overall budget more difficult to balance. And so I want to make sure that we look at every opportunity to leverage every fund source we can.
And at the same time on Capitol Hill, Senate Democrats struck down a comprehensive energy bill, demanding millions of dollars be sent to Flint to aid in its water crisis.
I support getting an energy bill done, but we're not ready to go to final passage until we have a bipartisan agreement on something that will help the children and families of Flint.
In the beginning, Republicans refused to vote unless it included cuts in the budget to help pay for it. Republicans hope the legislation will go through, and they say they'll work through the next few days to come to a bipartisan agreement. In studio control, Sarah Hurwitz, 24 Hour News 8.
Now, if you'd like to help out, Wood TV is teaming up with our Connecting with Community partners to bring water to the east side. You can donate water bottles to any Art Van location across West Michigan.